welcome back to my channel. If you are new, then don't forget to subscribe. A lot of people have been asking me questions about personal statements, how to write personal statements, what you should include, things like that. So I thought instead of just answering a load of questions individually, I would make a video about it. So if you are someone that is thinking about applying to nursing at university and want to know how to go about your application, then watch the whole video, because everything I'm about to say works, because it's all the steps that I took and I'm in nursing school today. A personal statement, for people who aren't really sure what it is basically like a few paragraphs, if that, of writing that you do, which you send off through your uni application through UCAS in the UK, and that is basically the first thing that your uni and the admissions team will see. So they'll get to see what you're like, what your qualifications are, and why you want to study the certain course. So with nursing personal statements, it is kind of different to like your average personal statement, because you have to make sure that you're talking a little bit about why you would be good as a nurse, if that makes sense. That was very badly worded, I'm very sorry. But why you would be good as a nurse, and why your personality as well as your academic attributes would make you a good nurse, whether that be on adult, mental health, children, or learning disability nursing. It all is the same thing in terms of the values that you need to care for a person. And also, as most people should know, the application process for getting into nursing school is slightly different to most other degrees. So for a lot of medical related, healthcare related degrees, you do have to do a interview after they accept you based on your UCAS application. So the interview is basically an extension of your personal statement. So that is basically like the foundation. So you need to make sure that you get your personal statement right, so people get the good first impression of you. The first thing I wanted to mention was kind of like a brief background into my application and my personal statement and how I wrote mine. I structured mine in a sense of, I spoke a little bit about why I wanted to be a children's nurse and kind of things that I'd looked up or noticed that I wanted to catch the eye of the admissions person, if that makes sense. I'll explain a little bit later. I obviously spoke about what I was studying in sixth form at the time, and I wrote the personal statement in the end of 2018, so at the beginning of year 13, but I was planning it throughout the summer of year 12. Just so I was a bit more prepared, and that's what my school recommended us to do, which I would recommend to do as well, because then you've got to balance revision with trying to perfect a personal statement, which is quite difficult. So definitely try and plan it in the summer at the end of year 12. If you're taking a gap year, or if you're older for whatever reason, then just make sure you have a good amount of time to be able to just get it done, because that's all you need. I wrote about my experience, like in clinical experience that I'd done, because I'd done some work experience. I wrote about some current affairs, things that I had noticed and were interested in. At the time, I was really interested in neonatal nursing, so I was saying that hopefully like XYZ thing can help me to become a neonatal nurse, and because I did neonatal work experience, I fitted that in as well. Still don't know if I actually want to be a neonatal nurse, but at the time I was like properly focused on that, so I mentioned that. And I just tried to pick like attributes from like the 6 C's. If you don't know what the 6 C's are, then look them up. And one of them, like for example, is like compassion. So I mentioned how examples of how I've been compassionate in certain scenarios and things like that. It is quite a short piece of writing, so you can't write a whole essay about why they should pick you, but you just got to condense it in a way that is kind of eye-catching. So I'm just going to go on to the tips and advice that I would give to people who want to write their personal statements, so stay tuned. With UCAS, your whole UCAS application is not just your personal statement. So it's your predicted grades, it's a teacher reference that they write about you, it's your personal statement, and all your extra qualifications. So if you have any extra qualifications like music certificates, like graded music certificates or dance certificates, then put that on your application, because having extracurricular activities that are outside of the degree or outside of education shows that you are just a really well-rounded person. So for me, I have done grade 3 guitar and grade 7 ballet, and anything that is graded, so whether that be musical or dance related or whatever, grade 6 plus gives you UCAS points. So I managed to get UCAS points from my ballet awards. It's not that that matters because they don't really go off UCAS points in most universities anymore, but it does really strengthen your application, and a lot of skills that you take from being musical or being a dancer, you can transfer into so many different degrees. So you can just work your way around that. So definitely talk about like past qualifications. Obviously you'll have to put like your GCSEs in there anyway, but any extracurricular things that you have, definitely mention them, because people love to hear about what you're like as a person outside of your kind of educational commitments. Showing that you're committed to something outside of school is really, really good. Like, they like to see that you're just a hardworking person that likes to achieve things and that you have other talents. Also, link your transferable skills to the subjects that you're studying or have studied at sixth form. So whatever you do, whether it's like a health and social care award or you do A-levels or whatever you're doing, link them to how that would be useful for nursing, whether that be the career itself or the degree. And because nursing, you don't need to study like a healthcare subject or a science subject, this is particularly important if you don't do science subjects. So for me, I studied pre-U English literature, pre-U Spanish and A-level politics, and I did an EPQ, but it was not related to healthcare at all. It was about race politics, so that's completely different. So for me, I felt like I had to prove more as to how that kind of would help me as a nurse. So with pre-U is kind of a level above A-level, so it's like in between A-level and uni, so that kind of shows how kind of academically challenging that was and how I like to work my brain. I don't know. With doing a language, that's helped me a lot in practice because the trust that I work in has a really big Latino community, so like a lot of the people that come in speak Spanish, so it has helped me for some of them who don't speak a lot of English. It has helped me to be able to communicate with them when other nurses can't. So that is a skill in itself. Communication, one of the C's. Things like that, or the fact that I did an EPQ really helps with referencing skills and research, which is really useful for assignments that I write in university. Like being able to analyse things from English, like I literally rinsed it. And like doing politics, learning about the public sector and all of that, like literally waffle your way through, rinse out the links, just do it, because it just makes so much sense, and then you can kind of build on what you're trying to say in your interview. I hope that makes sense, but just link your subjects to how that'll be useful for the degree and for being a nurse, because every subject, even if it's not related to healthcare, can help you, and there will be some transferable skills, so it will make sense. For a lot of people who've been a bit worried that because they don't do science subjects that they won't get into nursing, don't be worried, because I didn't do any science subjects and I got accepted into all 5 universities that I applied for nursing, so you'll be fine. As long as your personal statement can back you up, and if you have a little bit of healthcare experience or experience with children, if you're doing children, or just for caring for people in general, then you're fine. Just come across well and do your best in your interview as well, and you will be fine. And that goes on to like mentioning work experience that you've had. So if whether that be clinical, in a nursery, work experience you did as part of a qualification, anything really, like it really does not matter. Even looking after your siblings or anyone that needs care in your family, then just mention that. I know it's a bit hard right now, but like to find work and stuff because of the pandemic, and obviously unis will be accepting of that, they will understand, but just try your best to mention that if you have some already, or if you can try and get some experience. It's so important, even if it's just for a couple of days, a week, it really doesn't matter. Just being able to show that you've taken the step to want to learn more, to prepare yourself for the course, then they will love that. They will absolutely love it. And it also kind of shows like your willingness to learn. If you want to actively reach out to people, reach out to hospitals, nurseries, care homes, whatever, it really shows how passionate you are. Also, never use the word passionate, because everybody rinses that word. Do not say I am passionate about nursing. Never use that word, because it's so cliche. Everyone will look at it and want to throw up. It is horrible. Don't use it. Also talk about your aspirations. Like I said before, I talked about how much I really was interested in neonatal nursing and how I aspired to be a neonatal nurse. Even if that will probably change. It will probably change. I've just finished first year and I'm not sure if I want to do neonatal nursing anymore. And just because you see so many other things that are so much more interesting, or things that are just more intriguing to you, because nursing is so broad. If you have a specific kind of niche that you're interested in, mention it, because it shows that you've kind of done a bit more research and you really know what you're talking about. So definitely do that. But if you don't have any, then that's fine. Like, you don't have to say, oh, I want to be a cardiac nurse, I want to be an oncology nurse. Like, you don't have to. Just, if that's how you feel, then just go ahead and mention it. Also, it's really important to like mention any kind of extra steps you've taken. So for example, if you've done any online courses that are related to healthcare and nursing, if you've watched any TED Talks that are related to nursing, if you've gone to any lectures. I know that's a bit difficult now, but if you've been to any online lectures that are related to nursing, then they are really important to mention, because it shows that you've gone out of your way as well to kind of learn more about the profession, whether that be about the values or about a certain topic to do with medicine or anything like that. It just shows that you're really, really willing to learn, and that you will be a really good addition to the course. You just want to get the best out of the course, and that is very important. And I'm waffling. You can learn a lot on open days as well. So if you sit in a talk on open days, you can learn a lot. So you can just find out information from there and write about that in your personal statement. I know that's difficult right now if you're watching this during the pandemic. If you're watching this in the future, then it might be easier when the restrictions are lifted a bit more. But yeah, just even watching YouTube videos, TED Talks, anything that you can learn more about medicine and the world of healthcare, then do it. Please do it. Also, like with the whole research thing, you can read things like the Nursing Times and just the news in general. Like, this is the perfect time to read the news. Like, there's so much going on in healthcare at the moment. We're understaffed, we're underrepresented, we're underfunded. Like, these are all the more reasons for you to want to be a nurse, to want to kind of help with the crisis going on, with the NHS being just so underfunded, and just the shambles there is at the moment because of the government not wanting to give their money to anybody. You can just write about that, and I think that's something that I mentioned, that like there's such a shortage, it makes you want to be part of the change. So mentioning something like that, obviously don't make it cheesy, but something like that really shows your passion without having to use the word passion. Also, don't submit last minute. I think the deadline for UCAS application submissions is normally like January the 14th or something like that. My school made us all try to push us to all submit it before Christmas, so that's what I did. I think I submitted mine like the end of November, and then I went to my interviews in like January, February, March, and that kind of gets out of the way as well, because the quicker you get all your interviews out of the way, the less time, like you've done all your interview prep, you've done the interviews, it's out of the way, you just got to wait for the confirmation of the offer, then you can focus on revising if you're still in sixth form. So it's easier to just get out of the way, so you can actually focus on the grades that you need to get to actually be on the course, because it's all good, it's all well and good getting the offer, but if you don't get the grades, then... And lastly, just be yourself. Don't force trying to be the perfect person, the perfect student, the perfect carer. Just be yourself, don't lie, don't exaggerate, just be honest about yourself, and the more genuine you come across, the more people will like you. And obviously when they meet you in person in the interview, then you'll just come across really genuine. And if you come across as just a really passionate person about the topic, the subject, the career, then they will love you and they will take you. Like, we need more nurses, so they're not just going to pick anyone, obviously, because you're dealing with people's lives, you're saving lives, but just do your best. That's all I can really say. But yeah, this was a kind of little quick video that I thought I would. Wasn't really that quick. No, it's kind of like dragging on a bit, but I just thought that this would be really helpful for future applicants. So I hope that helped. If you have any more questions regarding this topic about applications and personal statements and things like that, then please don't hesitate to contact me. My socials are in the description below, or you can just comment under this video. I'm also going to link my video in the description below of how to smash your nursing interview, because that kind of links on to the next stage. Once you've done your personal statement, then you've got to prepare for the interview. So I provide some more kind of tips and advice in that video if you haven't watched it already. And so yeah, that's the end of me waffling. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.